It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Good day and welcome to the program. It is County-Wide. I'm Brad Miller. We're happy you're joining us today. And our guests, a couple in the studio today, in fact, a married couple, and both of them veterans and still working today to assist their fellow veterans with a myriad of issues. Frazier Mayer and Scott Mayer both joining us today, the Veterans Coalition of Central Arizona. We want to talk a little bit about a special, is it, Frazier, a program, a method, a skill?
It's a method.
Okay.
But a method that anybody can learn.
Okay.
You don't have to be a mental health professional to do what we do.
And this is called QPR, Question, Persuade, Refer. And most typically in the way that you apply it and folks that you have talked to and taught this method is going to be, most simply put, helping identify and then assist anyone, but particularly veterans who perhaps are having a very difficult mental time with their mental health, perhaps even suicidal. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about, if you'd like, your personal experiences, but how you got from serving our country, which we thank you both for, to doing this, continuing really to serve our country and especially our local community.
Well, originally about 5 years ago, we started the Weaver Mountains Health Initiative, which was to bring healthcare to the Weaver Mountains area, which is in the area of Yarnell, Peoples Valley, Wilhoit, etc. And that an offshoot of that was the VCCA.
Okay.
Because we realized that in that area we had a problem with suicide, not just with veterans. So, it's funny because people would say, "Oh, there's no suicide here." And I go, "Well, I'm on the fire department and I've just been to 3 this year, so yes, there are.
Yeah.
But we don't tend to see them or want to recognize it. And it's very common."
Sure. Well, in our area, I know there's, with elderly folks,
Yes.
things like that. There are accidental suicides, certainly, which I guess accidental deaths. So there's a lot of different things that do kind of happen. But from your perspectives, you know full and well that this happens. Scott, you shared an extraordinarily heartbreaking statistic with me before the show. These days, current times, 21 on average, 21 veterans take their own lives. Is that right?
I believe it's either
nationally.
21 or 22.
Nationally.
What the average is.
That's just
22.
Awful. That's heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. And there are things that we can do to prevent that, to curb that, and that's what the two of you are involved in. Is that right?
Right.
Yes.
So basically, this is a way that the layman, the average everyday person, instead of just sitting there with your mouth open going, "I don't know what to do," it gives you some way of taking some action to intervene at the level that we all can handle. We're not mental health professionals. We're not first responders. Well, I am, but we need a way of saying, "Hey, let me try to get you some help."
Right.
Is this what you're thinking about?
I think a lot of people, including myself, as we started chatting before we opened the mics this morning, you kind of make an assumption that there will be a close loved one, a spouse, say most typically an adult child, anybody who is going to be in the orbit of the afflicted person. And that's a big assumption that we probably shouldn't make. You gave Frazier a terrific illustration when we were chatting a few minutes ago about a guy at the end of the bar, and you just, with the training, the methodology that you're talking about, the QPR, the Question, Persuade, Refer, that might be a situation where someone completely unknown to you, with this training, you may recognize, is that right, some of the, symptoms do we call them, or behaviors?
Behaviors.
Okay.
And absolutely.
Okay.
It's a difficult subject to bring up to someone.
Who wants to talk about suicide?
Exactly.
Nobody does, and maybe that's why we don't understand it and cannot kind of fight against it as well as we can, and you're trying to change that.
Yes, that's our mission.
Okay.
If we can save one person,
Right.
we've done our job.
I know there's training that you're going to kind of work people through with workshops and classes and things like that. But here in our very limited time, can you give me some kind of an illustration, perhaps recollect a circumstance that you personally were involved in and recognize someone who was at risk?
The most obvious signs are talking about it. A person will talk about it. You know what? I don't know what there is to live for. I'm tired of how I'm feeling. I just want to end it all. Mm-hmm. They start giving away prized possessions. They isolate themselves. They figure out how they're going to do it. Because there's suicide ideation, and then there's like suicide action. Mm-hmm. The person gets a handgun or stocks up on opiates to do it that way. If at any point in that cycle someone can step in and say, "Hey, are you thinking about hurting yourself?
Right.
Let's talk about that, and let me help you get some help."
Right. Right.
It can manifest itself in lots of ways. Someone who's always been pretty messy in their home or their surroundings, all of a sudden cleaning everything up. Some people don't care and some people do care. Everybody's a little different. But here's the thing: what do you do? What do you do as the neighbor, the friend, the acquaintance, and just go, "I don't want to say anything."
Right.
Well, yeah, you do.
Right.
You want to ask them, and then what do you do with them?
Right.
You don't. You want to be able to take some action, and if that's just calling the national hotline, which is 988, mm-hmm. It just got set up a few months ago.
Right.
And then if they're a veteran, there's an option for
press 1.
Press 1. If they're not, you'll still go to an operator to start the ball rolling. And sometimes you need to hand them the phone, and sometimes you might say, "Hey, let's get in the car and let me take you someplace."
Right.
But the idea is take some action for them. Ask them what's going on.
Sure.
And persuade them to do something.
And it seems like, and I think that the real catch is, and one of the things that you folks are trying to do and the coalition is trying to do, the further away from that particular person's orbit you are, the trickier it can become to do what you just said. In a few words, you describe some of the things, but it's easier said than done. You know, for people, if it's a family member, you might have some avenue in there because of that relationship. But what we're talking about, especially today, is a neighbor, say, or just someone that you see within the community. You go to the park or the library at the same time. Those kinds of things. And the further out you are, it seems like would be more difficult.
I don't know. It might also be difficult if you're close, because you don't want to, you don't want to make waves. You don't want to.
For the opposite reason. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dad does not want to talk about that.
And the reason the VCCA, the Veterans Coalition, means so much to me is, in the military, most of us either have been in combat or in industrial situations where we've lost people.
Right.
We've done, when we were active duty, we did what we could to keep our comrades, our brothers and sisters alive. Now we're all civilians now. That doesn't stop. That sense of duty and sense of brotherhood does not end. So here's a way that you can keep that same person alive again,
Sure.
Continue it.
Sure. It seems you're both veterans. We said that at the top of the show. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, you've just basically said that drives at least part of motivates the two of you to do what you do.
Yes.
And the coalition. We need to take a short break, so we'll do that when we come back. I want to talk a little bit more about this. If there is someone listening, and I promise you that there is, someone hearing this today who wants to learn more, who wants to learn the QPR method, how they can do that, the best way to reach out. We do have a website and some other information like that we'll mention too before we wrap up our time together. Frazier Mayor, Scott Mayer, the Veterans Coalition of Central Arizona. It's countywide, and we'll be back right after this.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Service for over 25 years and continues to serve the communities in northern Arizona. Jackson Hewitt is here to help you file your personal taxes. As laws and situations change, your local Jackson Hewitt Tax Service professional stays updated to serve you. Drop off or make an in-person appointment. In Flagstaff, call 213-8626. That's 213-8626. That's 213-8626.
The award-winning experts at Verde Solar Services offer the trusted carrier products that help you customize a solution to fit your budget. Verde Solar is a family-owned business serving the Verde Valley for 38 years with the carrier products you can rely on. Carrier AC systems are trusted to bring energy-efficient, quiet, consistent comfort. Call 928-567-5315 for a free assessment of your AC and air quality needs. Verde Solar Services, online at verdesolar.com, a factory-authorized carrier dealer.
Don't let concerns about today's events derail your long-term financial strategy. Hi, I'm Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Matthias Sandoval, and I'm here to help. We can work together to understand the impact of these events and make sure your goals are top of mind. While you can't control the market volatility, we'll focus on what you can control. We can connect in several virtual ways. Start by giving me a call at 634-1044.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
We welcome you back to the program. It is Countywide. I'm Brad Miller. Scott Mayer, Frazier Mayer are here. The Veterans Coalition of Central Arizona, and talking about a technique that has proven effective, a method called QPR for short. Question, persuade, refer. If you are in contact, whatever that contact may be, with someone whom you suspect perhaps is suicidal or is approaching mental break, having a difficult time for whatever reason, veteran or not, what can you do as just a concerned citizen to kind of help out? It seems, Frazier, that sometimes we touched on this earlier, but approaching someone, particularly if you don't know them very well, can be very difficult, for people. There can also be a certain sense of apprehension if someone is displaying some signs of being, how do I do it? In your teachings and when you talk with students, if you will, about this technique, how do I make that initial contact?
It has to be at whatever comfort level you have as an individual approaching a total stranger. It can be maybe a joint interest in old cars,
sure,
or movies. You get that dialogue started, as my colleague Margie said, and sometimes that's all that person needs.
Yeah.
They need to be seen.
Right.
And they need to be heard.
Yeah.
And chatting, showing that person that you're not actively working on your next thing to say, that you're really listening. And that's tough. And then if you're concerned about your own safety, well, that's when you have to hand it over to professionals.
Right.
And you may need to call 911.
Sure. Authorities are trained to deal with exactly
Yes,
these kinds of things. If you're concerned about someone, perhaps they have weapons in the home, say, and a lot of people around here do. That would kind of fall, I guess, under the guise of like the welfare checks that folks might do on an elderly citizen who hasn't answered her door in a few days.
Correct.
Same kind of thing.
It's the same kind of thing.
Okay.
My own personal experience has been that simply talking to people, it'll come out. They'll say something.
Right.
I've had situations where I've mentioned the VCCA to someone. They go, "Oh yeah, I felt that way ever since coming back from, Iraq. I deal with that a lot." And I go, "Really? Have you taken any steps to do anything about that?" And I go, "Well, no." said, well, the VA does have counseling. I know it takes a little while to get in and all that, but it's a step that way. And here's the phone number.
Sure.
Most people who feel that way, they're not going to get mad at you because they're thinking of themselves, and they'll talk about it.
Are we still stigmatized with PTSD in our veterans? I know that there's I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I'm not a vet. I didn't serve, but I just from paying any attention to this matter, at all, we kind of think of we'll tough it out.
Exactly.
Well, is that still a big driver of why people who need the help do not seek it?
Yes.
Or are unable to seek it?
I think that's just a guy thing, personally.
Well, seriously, I mean...
guys, we tend to, that's an emotional thing, and we'll keep it in.
Sure.
I can't speak for women on that, but I can speak for men. We don't want to appear that we need help.
Vulnerable.
Right.
Be it physical or mental.
Right.
Yeah.
Until we hold it in so long that we explode. And
yes.
That's what we're trying to get ahead of here.
Any way to break that cycle
Right.
might save a life.
Again, someone listening to us today, how do they kind of get in touch with you? What is involved in learning, the QPR methodology? Can I read it in a book? Is it online? Is it on YouTube? Do I come to you?
There's a lot of information online about QPR.
Okay.
But the easiest or the most effective way is to actually come to a training session, so to speak. It's an hour to an hour and a half. It doesn't cost any money at all.
Okay.
You can email me, or you can put in a comment on our website, or send a message through Facebook.
Okay, let me give the website just initially, and then at the very tail end of the show, if folks want to kind of get a pencil ready and copy down some of this information, how to reach out. But the website is centralarizonaveterans.com. So simple as that, centralarizonaveterans.com. And again, it's the Veterans Coalition of Central Arizona. Scott, as folks are kind of listening to this, what are some of the questions they might ask themselves? Here again, I'm talking a little bit about things that they may notice in the behavior of a neighbor or a loved one, a family member or a coworker, whatever the relationship is. Those initial things can be...
Well, anytime anyone changes the way they do something, is their yard no longer being cleaned up, or is the messy yard next door all of a sudden being cleaned up?
So a behavior that cuts against the norm.
Right, whatever abnormal behavior.
Okay.
It can be subtle things like, hey, I don't need this wood router anymore. I won't be needing it.
Yeah.
I know that you've always liked it. Here you go. That's a sign.
Right.
Now, it may just be that the guy is not going to be doing any woodwork anymore.
You bet.
On the other hand, it may not.
Right.
But remember, as much as we're giving out websites and Facebook pages, remember that 988 is now the 911 for mental health.
We should all have that in our phone.
988.
Or in our memories,
right.
988. That's why they did what they did and shortened it to that 3 digits. You bet.
Yeah.
We should all know that, regardless of which walk of life we're from, or our own histories, or our family histories. Yeah.
If you reach out and ask and everything's fine, everything's fine. You haven't done any harm. And if it isn't, I don't know, it's like you got to take a chance.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, oh well.
Yeah.
And if it does, you've done what you could.
Who knows what a single gesture might do? Mm-hmm. Literally could save a life, and has.
Sure.
Through this method. We need to take another short break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more. Frazier Mayor, Scott Mayor today, the Veterans Coalition of Central Arizona. Again, centralarizonaveterans.com. You can find information there. And when we come back, we'll have additional resources for you, things you can do to find out more about QPR. Question, persuade, refer. It could be the most important contact you make in your whole life, reaching out to someone who is having a situation in which suicide may become an option for them. You can help them head that off. We'll take a short break. We're back to Countywide right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley for 38 years, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust, designed, engineered, and built in the USA. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates on systems that are quiet and affordable. Verde Solaire is locally owned since 1983 and available for all your heating, air conditioning, and plumbing needs. Call 928-567-5315. Visit them online at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Taxes, taxes, taxes.
It's that time again. This is Lewis with Rice Accounting Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. We don't sell cars, we don't do hair or wait tables. We do taxes. At Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, we talk taxes and we prepare taxes. Open year-round for tax filings. Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, located throughout northern Arizona. For over 20 years, our local preparers have helped neighbors pay their fair share and no more.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service in the Tri-Cities at 772-7872. That's 772-7872.
We welcome you back. Our final short segment. Frazier Mayor, Scott Mayor, Veterans Coalition of Central Arizona, and their message today. You do a lot of things through your organization, but what we're talking about here today, I know at holiday time, sometimes suicide increases. Folks get depressed around holiday times. Things happen in families and in life around, particularly around holiday time. So it's never been more important than to understand the QPR method. Question, persuade, refer. It talks to you and will teach you about how to identify folks who maybe are struggling or suffering to get through just another day. As we've got some websites and things I want to say, but you're available to people to put them through this training.
Absolutely. So if your business would like this training, if you're a church group, a school, a fire department, a police department, anyone who's interested in getting this training and learning what to do as a non-mental health professional, please just get in contact with us, and I'll go anywhere to do it.
You likened it to CPR. It's a skill
yes.
that anybody walking around should probably have.
Sure.
It's not going to hurt you to have this understanding and this information at your fingertips. You may save someone's life.
Correct.
We'll be glad to come out to do training for almost any group. I don't care if you're an HOA or a motorcycle gang. We'll come out.
Okay. You can learn more online. CentralArizonaVeterans.com. That is the website. And the Gmail is veteranscca@gmail.com. And that is checked very, very frequently. So if you need this kind of training, this kind of assistance, if you want to reach out, that's a good way to do it. And then the Veterans Coalition of Central Arizona is on Facebook. Frazier Mayor, Scott Mayor, I want to thank you both very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for serving our country. Thank you for the work that you continue to do.
It's our pleasure to be here, and thank you for this.
It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.